People are going crazy for ChatGPT-5, and some people are saying it's awesome. I'm one of those. And then some people are saying it's the worst thing they've ever seen, and they want their old models back. In this episode, I want to dive into the hype to separate out the little helpful things so that you can actually get the most out of ChatGPT-5, understand what's going on in this AI landscape as people talk about it, and actually understand why I think this is one of the biggest deals we've ever had in AI for a very long time. So let's get into it. I'm Dan Sanchez. My friends call me Danchez. And today we're going to just ChatGPT-5. That is it. There's a lot of other news. I'll give you a little bit more at the end. But today there's been so much conversation about it that I felt like you deserve to know the truth. What's actually going on with ChatGPT-5, why people are so upset about it, and what you should do about it as a marketer. So let's dive into it. On LinkedIn, and I'm showing my screen for all you audio listeners, but I'll be spelling it out like I usually do. On LinkedIn, I ran a poll, and I just asked people over the weekend as ChatGPT-5 was hitting everybody's accounts, and people were getting into it. I asked, so, ChatGPT, what are we thinking? Where are you at? And I gave a bunch of different options, and 12% of people said, it's awesome. I was one of those people. I thought it was awesome. 46% said, great, but not a game changer. 29% said, underwhelming. 10% said, I want 4.0 back. And a little bit of 3% said, I hate it, which kind of shows some diversity. Now, truth be told, I think we can all admit that OpenAI hyped this one up a lot, even with Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, posting this picture of this Death Star rising behind a planet, kind of like, oh my gosh, it's coming. And it wasn't like we got a whole new functionality. It wasn't like we got a feature set or power that was like 10 times more powerful. No. Was it better? Yes. But it was just a little bit better in a lot of different ways across a lot of different parts of the model. It also did a lot for us by cleaning things up and making it so we really only had to pick between 5 and maybe 5 with thinking, which is almost like picking between 4.0 and 0.3 as a reasoning model. Because the thing was, hardly anybody was ever using the other models. Most people were just using 4.0. In fact, OpenAI actually released some benchmarks they had internally saying that like only a small percent, of course, no free users even had access to reasoning models, and that even Plus users were only using 7% of Plus users were using the reasoning models, which is crazy low, right? So now 5 is across the board being handed to everybody. All the free users have it. All the Plus users have it. All the Pro users have it, of course. And a lot of people are losing their minds about it. Apparently, a lot of people really liked 4.0's personality and were, having deep relationships, conversations, and yes, even romantic relationships with ChatGPT. There are subreddits talking about ChatGPT as a boyfriend, girlfriend, and all kinds of things in between. Little AI digital besties, And for ChatGPT-5 kind of pulled that back a little bit, which was surprising to me because if you've been following this show, you can change your account instructions to instruct it on what personality you want it to have. So I didn't really see a lot of personality change because mine's already instructed to be like humorous, but when appropriate. So mine was already kind of snappy and kind of funny and throwing jokes. I got some inside jokes with ChatGPT, okay? So I was surprised people were so upset about this, but they were. And they like the more verbose thing that ChatGPT does. So a lot of people are upset about this. A lot of people are upset, I guess, with the fact that they like that AI was more affirming than the one they have now. As you listen back to the episode, we did a whole episode on the dark side of AI, and I talked about how that's actually a bad thing. You do not want ChatGPT to be overly affirming because it becomes a confirmation bias machine, which is bad for you personally as you're asking it for advice. It's only see your point of view and help you walk down bad decision-making models, right? But it's also bad for work as a marketer. You want to push against your ideas. Why I always recommend going into its settings, its personalization settings, and asking it to be a little skeptical of you so that it actually pushes back when appropriate. It's there to help you. It's there to serve you. It's there to be, give you maybe some hype sometimes, but also to be like, hey, maybe that's not a great idea. People are pushing back on that. And all I can say about those people pushing back on the personality thing or the overly affirming thing, I'm like, this is not good for you. I'm glad OpenAI actually made it less affirming. It was a good thing across the board for humanity for it to do that. So I'm not sorry about that opinion, but it is my opinion. Now, on the other hand, some people have reported to me after I posted about this, there's been lots of bugs, there's been some glitches, the rollout's been not the smoothest. Their router, which actually helps the model pick which of the, because it's, when you're talking to ChatGPT-5, it's actually like multiple models. And there's a router that broke when they first released it, making it hard to pick the right model for you. So a lot of people had problems. I've even seen snapshots of people's accounts having a hard time with it. It was almost like 10-second Tom. If you've seen the movie 50 First Dates, where he has a 10-second memory span, it was like forgetting mid-conversation what was going on and starting over from scratch. And I'm like, man, ChatGPT-5 is having a hard time with this rollout. But, there's a lot of bugs in the system. And if you look at my screen again, like Sam Altman has posted multiple replies about all the things that they're fixing, about giving people more access to the thinking models, putting 4.0 back in the menu for those who wanted 4.0 back in the plus models. And of course, if you're a pro user, you actually get access to a lot of these things. The pro users got to keep a lot of the models and still have those. That's the advantage of paying $200 a month. I don't pay for it. I still pay for the plus. But we do have 4.0 back in the menu to be able to play with and test and continue to use if you really like that model. And of course, they're working out and making it just better. They're making a bunch of little personality enhancements and just improving 5. And I'm sure 5 will continue to be the model. OpenAI will probably do the right thing in making a bunch of small improvements as time goes on, and it'll just get better and better and better. Sam also said this really important quote before I even quoted this on last week's episode. And I think it's important for marketers and everybody really to understand the importance of the context of 5.0. Sam Altman said before, just as ChatGPT-5 was coming out, that ChatGPT-5 is the smartest model we've ever done. But the main thing we pushed for is real-world utility and mass accessibility/affordability. We can release much more smarter models, and we will, but this is something 1 billion plus people will benefit from. Most of the world has only used models like ChatGPT-0. The reason why ChatGPT-5 is such a big deal is because it's pushing top-of-the-line models to everyday people. You can access the best model on the planet right now for free. Will it stay the best model? No. Like other models will come and update and it'll go back and forth again. But now the whole world has access to reasoning models. The whole world has access to a top-of-the-line model that switches depending on if they need more reasoning or not. That's a very good thing. It's a very generous thing. Now, of course, they had to weigh, because it's got to be efficient so that it doesn't like break the bank on compute cost. It has to be accessible and easy to use so that people don't have to think about switching back and forth between these models. But it's also got to be powerful, and it is. And they found the best balance of all 3 of those things. Now, of course, there's been some bumps in the road. There's bugs. Some people are having a lot of bugs with it, and it's painful for some people. I get it. That's hard. But at the end of the day, I think OpenAI did us all of humankind a massive solid and put some of the most powerful tech in the hands of everyday people who can afford more than just having a smartphone that can have ChatGPT on it. This is really good because there's coming a time when companies will pay for the smartest, best models on the planet and will take advantage of that and automate things that people won't be able to compete with anymore. It's going to be a problem. By OpenAI taking some of their best models and pushing it out to all the free accounts, that actually puts some power back in our hands to be able to work with as marketers to kind of balance the powers, because usually the best tech goes to the people with the most money. And right now, some of the best tech in the world is available for free. I like the democratization of that kind of power and that kind of tech. That's a good thing. And I think OpenAI deserves some respect for that decision. Now, of course, is it going to benefit them? Of course it is. Like, are they going to make a lot of money off this eventually? Of course. But does it still put some really good tech in the hands of everyday people, of my wife and my kids who use the free versions of the account? Yeah. And they're probably going to get hooked on it and use it even more. But guess what? They're going to get more done. It's going to be more useful and more productive. And I think a lot of people are going to benefit from this. So now's the time to roll up your sleeves to learn how to use this thing. And that's what I want to spend the rest of this episode on, how to actually unlock its power. Because I can tell you what, I've run into some issues not me, but other people have run into some issues. And as I dig into their accounts, I've learned by watching how other people prompt that there's some things that I was doing without even realize I was doing it in order to get the most out of it. And those are some of the things I want to share with you today. There's also some things that I've seen some other power users of ChatGPT post about that I also want to share with you in order for you to get the most out of this new model called ChatGPT-5. So the first one I want to share with you is you need to organize your account correctly. Now, I've done a whole video about this. If you're on YouTube, I'm going to link to it over in the video. Hopefully, I'm pointing in the right direction. We'll see what happens. If you're listening to a podcast, I'll link to it in the show notes. But it was about how to properly structure ChatGPT and optimize it to get the most out of it. There's a few things you need to understand. One, you have account level settings. Two, you have custom GPT or project level settings. And then you have individual chat sessions where you can load information. It's really important that you put the right information in the right places in the account. Everything at the account level settings. This is your account memories. This is your personalization. In fact, let me open up my ChatGPT account and I'll show you where it is. If you go over to the if you're in the web app version of it, it's your little face. If you click on your face or where your name is, you can go over to customize ChatGPT and you get this very simple window where you can actually enter like your name. What should ChatGPT call you? What do? You need to be specific here and put some things that you do. Actually have AI marketer, educator, creator. So it kind of has some basic context. Traits you want ChatGPT to have. This is where I say, be skeptical, challenge my ideas if they are weak, or ask questions proactively to gain clarification if more details are needed. And I also have use a quick and clever humor when appropriate, because it's just more fun that way. But you can also put anything else that you want to know here. I put all kinds of little practical things like always use the word dive instead of delve, never place an emoji before a title, all the little things that I want to remember regardless of where I'm at in the account. You need to put here at the account level instructions. There's also another place that I think a lot of people get messed up, and it's over under settings, under personalization, under manage memories. ChatGPT keeps track of a bunch of different memories. Anytime you use an I statement, it stores it here, and you can come through them and remove them. You need to remove a lot of these memories in your account, especially if they're about clients or past projects. These are almost like, think of like it can remember the summary of all your past conversations, but these are hard-coded on top. These are really important ones. The only ones you want in here are the big ones, the ones you want it to remember that are important for it to remember across accounts no matter what. What you want to have loaded there is things about you, how you work, even your personality, your defaults, the way you like things done in general, any generalities that are helpful so that you can hone your account in to be about working with you, leveraging your strengths, leveraging the way you work. Are you a visual learner, audio learner? Like all those things, all those little preferences that you have and that you like to work with ChatGPT on should be stored in your memories or in the account preferences, one of those two. Because again, those are a little bit more hard-coded, a little bit more closer to the top of its mind as it's working with you. If you get it reversed, you're trying to store project details in there, it's not going to go as well. If you go to it, you're working on a project, you're like, remember this thing because you keep forgetting, that's not the appropriate place to put it. Now, if you're working on a project, you want to remember more of those things, well, build a project. That's why they have the little project folder over here on the left-hand side of the bar. You can see I have a ton of projects here, but if you come and I just go into like one of these projects, I have a whole project just for a LinkedIn post because it helps me build LinkedIn posts. I have instructions here with how to build my LinkedIn post. And if you want access to this, I actually built a whole custom GPT that helps you post to LinkedIn. I'll link to that in the show notes too. It's called Instapost. I pretty much took my instructions for writing LinkedIn posts and made them available for public. But all of these here, now every time I talk to this project, it has the instructions on how I like my LinkedIn posts. So every time I need LinkedIn posts, I come to this project and work on them in here. Every time I go to Solo Scale, which is the company Ken and I just launched this past week, I go to the Solo Scale project. If I want to talk about this podcast, AI Driven Marketer, I go to the AI Driven Marketer podcast project, and I have all the instructions, and sometimes I'll even have files that are related to that project in it, so it can always keep that information top of mind, and it has all the conversations I've had about this project in there. And that's a big deal. So you want to organize it correctly. Big account level stuff, project level stuff, and then things just related to the chat. This is a new thing. A lot of times we've talked about prompt engineering, but now we're going into something called context engineering. I know, so much engineering, right? But context engineering is the idea that you want to give it just the right context at the right time. What I've seen other people do is loading it with tons of context, whole documents, just scan the whole website. But is it really necessary? If you load it with too much context, you give it more chances for it to screw up. And I'm finding that 5 is screwing up a little bit more with too much context. It'll probably get better with this as time goes on, and pretty soon we'll have unlimited context and it could just remember everything all the time. But right now, you want to be strategic about the amount of context you're giving it. Do you have to give it that full PDF? Do you have to have it scan the full website? Maybe it only needs 1 page. Maybe it only needs a few pages out of that PDF. Only give it what it needs, and make sure to structure your prompt so it's clear. Like, this is what I want. This is why I want it. Here's all the context you need labeled properly below. Make it very clear. Think about it this way. That genius intern metaphor we've been using for a while still works really well here. Would an intern get this? If I sent this off as an email, would they be able to understand and have everything they need to move forward? ChatGPT is very similar. Continue treating it that way, and it'll continue to give you great results. Of course, that's not it. I saw one fantastic prompt from Nicole Leffer, who really got me thinking about this. But she essentially said, if you use ChatGPT, it's gold to understand just how much you can control the amount of the new ChatGPT model thinks. If you want to really understand, try this silly experiment to see how big of a difference one simple instruction to tell it the amount of thinking it can make to your output. And she gives an example of, please describe what pizza is to an alien from Mars who just arrived on Earth and has never had human food. Add the words, do not use any reasoning at the end of the prompt. And then it will proceed to give you an answer. You can come back and edit that prompt and just tell it something a little bit different. Same prompt, but instead of don't use any reasoning, use your lowest reasoning setting. And then you can move it up. Where is it? Use your medium reasoning setting. Use your deepest thinking reasoning setting. These are different ways you can prompt it in order to kind of tap into different gears. I don't know, have you ever driven a car on automatic and kind of played with the accelerator enough to where you can kind of feel it kicking in gears? Some of us know our automatic vehicles well enough that we can kind of fiddle with it in order to get it to jump gears. It's kind of like that same thing. You can jump gears in thinking and going in depth if you need it. You just have to know what language to use in it. Because while it does give you the option in the menu now, let's go back to ChatGPT so I can show you. Go to a fresh chat here. It does give you the ability to go to the drop down. You can say auto, where it decides for you, fast, which means it's not going to use the reasoning model. You could say thinking, which uses the reasoning model. But which reasoning model does it use? There's like 5 different models packed into this model, and if you want to specify which one to use, well, Nicole has given us some language on how to do that. Remember, again, is do not use any reasoning if you want to use this fastest model. Use your lowest reasoning setting. Use your medium reasoning setting, and use your deepest thinking reasoning setting. Those are 3 different ways that you can remember to put at the end of your prompt in order to tap into those different gears if you want to. Yes, it's automated, but we could still prompt out the desired one. I actually love this because now I don't have to go back and forth in the menu to pick anymore. I could just add it to the prompt and I can shift up or shift down anytime I need within one conversation. That's pretty cool. And one last piece of news I wanted to share with you is this one viral post from, who's it from? Giovanni Beggiato. Hopefully I pronounced that right, Giovanni. If I didn't, I'm sorry. But it was this fantastic guide. I will link to it in the show notes, but it's OpenAI's guide to how to build AI agents without previous knowledge. It was actually a fantastic little slide deck I clicked through. I'm not going to go through the whole thing here, but I just kind of wanted to preview it and show it to you guys. Again, if you're watching the screen, I'm just kind of clicking through it. But please check out the link in the description. I think agents, obviously, I know agents are going to become a bigger and bigger deal. Right now, it's super early. It's like learning prompt engineering within the first 6 months of when ChatGPT came out. It's that early on learning how to work with agents. But this guide actually had some great visuals for how to think about agents. That's why I'm highly recommending checking this one out, because I think this is going to be a critical resource, and we need to start really learning it, wrestling with it, and thinking about agents early. Of course, ChatGPT just came up with their agents, so a lot of us Plus users have access to this kind of tool now. So we can start thinking about applications for it, but it's good to get frameworks. And again, this post is actually pulling this directly from OpenAI and just putting it into a nice little compelling deck for us to consume. Highly recommend checking out. If you're an intermediate user looking to get into some advanced things, this would be a good resource for you. Something to spend some time on, thinking about, digesting. It's okay if you don't understand its implications now. You want to start understanding the vocabulary around agents, about giving it a prompt template, understanding the user, its tools, memory, which LLM you're plugging into an agent, how agents are using these things in order to navigate the situations you put them in. So great resource. But again, ChatGPT-5 is a big deal. I'm so glad OpenAI decided to release it. I know it's been a bumpy road. It looks like they're making quick fixes in order to improve it, fix it, bring some of those old models back for those who like them, and ultimately make ChatGPT-5 the new default standard for all of us talking to AI all day in order to help us do better marketing and even get more done in life.